Welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. Fox Sports announcer Joe Buck is well aware of the dangers of skin cancer. His mother was diagnosed with melanoma, the deadliest form, several years ago. Now he's teaming up with the American Academy of Dermatology and its president, Dr. Abel Torres, to raise awareness. Thank you. Important topic for sure. Summer is here. So, Joe, let me start with you. Tell me your family history. How did melanoma become part of the dialogue that you're sort of promoting nowadays?
Well, I would imagine it's the same way it has for many other people in this country and beyond. You know, my mom was just going for a routine checkup, had her dermatologist check a spot on her chest, kind of that one button down area right here in the middle, and found out that she had melanoma. Thank God it was detected early and she had it taken care of and it's behind her. But as you know, when something like that hits somebody as close to you as your mom or somebody in your family, you pay attention, and that's why I jumped aboard here.
Now, you've always been an outdoors person, you know, being involved in sports and raising, you know, growing up in a family, an outdoors family. Was skin cancer ever in the radar? You know how families say, oh, you know, you're fair skinned, you have to. That was never part of the dialogue, was it?
It wasn't. I mean, I was, you know, a kid in the 70s and I guess a child somewhat of the 80s, and we didn't talk about that kind of stuff. I mean, I knew that I burned easily. Yeah. But I watched it, but I certainly wasn't lathering myself up in suntan lotion and and worrying about sunscreen. It just wasn't in my vocabulary. So it is now, I'll tell you that, and it certainly is in my kids' lives. They're older now, but they've been well lathered over the years by their parents.
So, Dr. Torres, let's talk a little science here. Melanoma. Tell me a little bit about why is it so deadly, and tell me what's the national status on melanoma rates right now.
So basically, you know, you've got skin cancer, the most common skin cancer. Right. Melanoma is the deadliest form of skin cancer. Right. And the bottom line is you have one person that dies every hour from melanoma. So that's what we have in terms of melanoma. So it's really an epidemic in terms of it's been increasing over time. So we're seeing more and more of it. Sure, some of it is being because we're diagnosing it earlier, but it's also beyond that.
All right, Joe, what's some of the risk factors, you know, once you learn about your mother had melanoma, what were some of the risk factors that came to play here?
Well, you know, she obviously was walking around unprotected, and now her life has changed, and I would really send this out there to anybody watching. It's something that Dr. Torres and I have talked about really all day, raising awareness, being smart in the sun, seeking shade, long sleeve shirts, wide brimmed hats, sunglasses, making sure that, you know, when you are in the sun, you're protected by an SPF of 30 or higher, making sure that you're doing everything you can, because the beauty of this is, while it's a scary story and the stats are rising and one person every hour is dying from melanoma, if you're not lazy, like I tend to be, and say, I'll put sunscreen on later, whatever. If you're not, and you are diligent about it, you don't have to worry about those statistics, because if you catch even anything early, including melanoma, he'll tell you it's highly treatable.
Hey, Doc, when you talk about melanoma, and I was talking about risk factors, you know, Buck mentioned a few, which is, of course, the exposure to the sun. Are there any, you know, familial, you know, conditions that melanoma tends to be more common, or is it available to anybody who doesn't pay attention to the sun?
So both. So basically, if you have a personal history of melanoma or a family history of melanoma, you're at higher risk for developing melanoma. But even then, it's the exposure that you get to ultraviolet light, whether it's the sun or artificial sources like indoor tanning.
Right. So if you have a family member that has melanoma,
you're at higher risk.
You're at higher risk. Okay. So which is an important point, because a lot of people, you know, sometimes they forget that there's a genetic inherited pattern to, you know, predisposition for melanoma.
And even people of color. Right. You know, you don't typically think I'm as fair-skinned as they come. Yeah. But it's everybody, as you said to Dr. Torres, is susceptible to this.
All right. I want to ask you about, because I love the title. I got to read the title. Lucky Bastard, My Life, My Dad, and Things I'm Not Allowed to Say on TV. That's a book of yours. That's a hell of a title.
We're on TV, so we can't talk about it.
Tell me about the book.
It's just kind of my life, and, you know, my dad did what I do for 50 years. He was in St. Louis, worked at CBS. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame for broadcasting. And I followed in his footsteps. And so you know, you get compared to your dad a lot. I had a lot of doors open to me because I was my dad's son. I was broadcasting in the big leagues when I was 21 years old. I did the World Series for Fox when I was 27.
Right.
And while there's the whole nepotism factor, which I'm a big fan of, nepotism's great.
Yeah.
You know, while there's that, there's also the downside of it. And there's stories that have happened in my life that I saw as a kid on the road with my dad, where everything in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of stuff. And then kind of today's age with Twitter and how this job has evolved for you. Yeah. And now he's in it because he's on TV and everybody's got an opinion and you better not state something they don't like. Yeah. And otherwise you're dead online. So that's kind of what it's about.
So good book to read. Doc, I'm going to give you the last word because we're talking about the summers here. You know, tell me the message for people to know about skin cancer and how to prevent it. Go ahead.
The message is do frequent skin exams, partner up with somebody so that you can look at each other's back, seek shade, use sunscreen, use protective clothing, and if you see something suspicious, make an appointment to see a board-certified dermatologist. But more important as well is if you have questions, go to spotme.org, which is a website that tells you about skin cancer and also how to get a free skin cancer screening.
All right, so that's the website. What's the website?
Spotme.org.
All right.
I listen. Everything this man says, I listen.
All right, you better.
Trust me.
All right, thank you so much for being here. Great information and very important for everybody. You know, we need to prevent skin cancer, so thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any health questions, tweet me at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.